Hello everyone and welcome back to RCH Builders. So this is going to be the first progress video for the winery project. And I'm not sure how much of the actual work on this will be videoed. I will try to video every time I can, but with this being a commercial project and stuff like that, it's not really fitting in with like home owners, a building, and stuff like that. But I'll still try to give you some helpful tips that can be associated with residential as well, and also keep you up to date on where we're at with it as far as just progress. So, like I say, I'll video what I can, but for the most part on this, with it being a commercial thing, it's something that we have to do a little bit quicker. There's a lot more heavy duty items that we got to do that are just really difficult to video at the same time as doing it in a timely manner to make money and have a happy customer. So with that being the case, this is the first progress video here, and what we have is we have started. We've got the water line from the meter. We have it all the way up through to the building, and it ended up being probably about 550 feet, something like that. So it's a long, really long ditch. Now, depending on where you are at, will depend on how deep that is supposed to be. In our area, the code requirement is 12 inches. Some of the counties in this state might require 18 inches deep. But that's something you'll just need to check with your county specifically as far as how deep a water line is supposed to be. Our freeze line here is almost nothing. It's barely below the soil. So with that being the case, 12 inches is the code that is required. But the way that what I did is we are minimum 24 inches down, except for at the very beginning when you saw it went up to the meter. So you notice their meter was only like 12 inches. So it goes from there, slopes up until it hits the meter at the very end. Otherwise, minimum, this is 24 inches deep. Sometimes it's 30, just as we were digging. So I tried to use a trencher out here, but the dirt that's around here, trenchers, depending on how deep you're going, really have trouble, especially here, because the way that this field is done, it's a very common thing in certain different countries, especially like Ireland, Scotland, where they have a lot of hills for gardens and stuff. So it has all these berms out through this field. There's a whole bunch of them. Anyways, with how hard this dirt is, it's almost like rock, and the trencher was having trouble as it is. And on top of that, it could not make itself go up those berm hills while digging either. So I ended up having to take it back and get a much bigger machine to dig this out, to just save time and actually get it done. So that's why this trench is so wide. But doing this video should also help the owners, because they got all these vines here, and of course the hope is that this will be doing very well. If this does very well, then they're probably going to end up wanting to continue that throughout this field later on and add more vines even over there. So they got a lot of area that they could add more vines. And with that being the case, their sprinkler lines for their irrigation are probably going to be no more than like 12 inches deep. So this lets them know, as long as they're not going 24 inches deep, they're going to be fine. It also will help them be able to tell where this trench is with the water line. So what I've done with it is I tried to go as straight as I can to where this fence right here is basically circling the actual homeowner's house. And with that being the case, I stayed Well, we kept the water line for the most part over that way. So the water line at this point is about almost 4 feet off the fence right here. And it goes at as straight as possible to the meter. You can't see the meter from here, but the trench is fairly straight. It deviates a little, but you know, it was as straight as we could do. And it maintains that same distance all the way until, let's see, right about, it maintains that same distance of about 4 feet. I'm gonna measure that real quick. Let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it's about 5 feet. So it's 5 feet away from this fence, all the way up through until it gets to, you got this little rose bush right here. I think maybe it's a berry bush. I can't, let me look closer. No, it's a rose bush. So from this rose bush, we are 1, 2, 3, about 4 steps, so about 12 feet back towards the road from the rose bush. It curves over to a smaller trench, because I had taken this machine back at the end of that day and got a smaller mini excavator. And it took me, with that smaller excavator, it actually took me about 3 hours to dig that 12-foot section. That is how hard this dirt is. So, but either way, I did that there, and that, at that point, it goes to being about 4 feet off the fence. And it stays that way all the way through the rest of it. Even after I did right here, I went ahead and I got another bigger machine, not as big as the first one, but a little bit smaller, and it at least was able to dig in this hard dirt. But so that's just, depending on how hard your dirt is, of course, to determine the machine. I was using a Kubota U17 to dig this, and that is kind of the minimum size mini excavator that is going to make it to where you can dig 2 feet deep in this soil. Now, depending on where you live, the smaller one, which we do have out here because I'm using it still to do the footers, but that smaller one may work for you, but around here it is just was not working. So got this trench, like I said, so it's a long trench, but got up here. And then at this point here, which is, let's see, you get the corner of the fence there, and then it comes out, let's measure it off, about 6 feet. So about 6 feet from the fence, that water line curves and goes, the trench goes straight. However, because of the curvature in the end of the pipe there, the pipe stopped right there. It just didn't want to lay flat against there. But it basically makes a beeline to the corner of where the bathrooms area will be. And then we just got it. I'll show that closer in a little bit. But either way, at this same point, at the 6 feet, we had there, that is, right there is for their well, which is way down there. There's a well down there that feeds all the water for this. And then I stapled using fabric landscaper staples, basically. So they're about 4-inch staples. And I just stapled this irrigation low voltage wire up. So now the electrical minimum around here is 24 inches. I went 36. I don't like going with minimums. So I went 36 inches deep. So the electrical line goes below the water line. That is at 24. And then the irrigation low voltage, which is not required to be any depth at all. I mean, you can put it 2 inches underground, but I have it at least 18 inches, 18 to 16 inches down. And I just stapled it there. Since we haven't been able to fill this in, I'm waiting on an inspector to look at it all first. So I just stapled it there just so we could get it in place, because I had to move it. That starting right there, that's where that's where they had ran all this before. And then I was just adjusting it and putting it down where it's supposed to be by code in the areas that we did. But, so, like I say, those go all the way around and go around the backside. Show that in a second, the rest of the way. But, continuing with the water line. So, it's maintaining this 24 inches deep. And then, we also have all our bunch of batter boards up with strings to show us where the walls are going to be. And this gray pipe is just serving as a sleeve to help protect the water line from the concrete when the concrete pours around it. And it comes out and it just 90s and comes out down there. So also, if they ever need to replace this water line, they'll be able to dig down to there and then pull that out and then re-put it back in a new one through there without messing with the footers. So, and then all we did is we just left it long. We just took it all the way up and just looped it around. Just looped it around, just strapped it there. It's just temporary for now. And we put in a shutoff up here and a hose spigot. So we have functioning water here to be able to work with. And you can actually see this Fernco is got a water pressure on it. So I'll do that all, but we have water filled in up there to test this for when the inspector shows up. So as far as the electrical goes, like I say, it is coming across the water line there, and then it just makes a pretty much as straight as possible line over, down through there, cuts across. Both of them cut across here. I also did the low voltage. Again, it's just stapled up high, but it cuts across there because I wanted to get it over that way, away from this big 4-inch pipe. So what I've done here, the septic system comes out across right there, right behind that pipe, and then it's like a big tank here, and then the water line, the drainage field goes out that way. So the Duke Energy was afraid to put their wire in from there coming this way after the building's up, because they're afraid they might hit the septic system. So with that being the case, what I have done is we've got a 4-inch pipe right here that is coming up on the outside of the building. It'll mount to the meter can. The meter can will mount right on top of it. And then it just comes down and brings that line out of side of the footer. So the footer is going to stop there. So, I mean, it actually brings it a good bit. I just used a full stick, didn't cut it off. And where that stopped is where I stopped it. And then what I've done, the other thing that we've done is this is just a 2x4, basically 8 feet long, that we just drove in the ground at the end of the pipe. There's a cap on there, and we have a pull string mule tape coming out of it. Comes out over there as well. We get it tied off over there, and then we get it tied off on the back side of this. So we got to fill this trench in order to actually dig the footers. And so when we fill this in, Duke Energy will have to refine this pipe. So basically we got that post in there. We'll just bury all the way around it, and they'll be able to just dig right down right beside that pipe, that stake, and find the end of the pipe real easy. And then the electric line we've got that's coming up in this pipe here These two are inside the wall versus that 4-inch being outside. So back over here, so you can see the side there. So the electric line, again, it 90s and comes out over here, but on that side of the trench to be able to give a little distance from the main power line if someone has to dig it up. And then the low voltage is coming up in this closer pipe going across and then coming out, and I've got it supported up there with just some EMT. If you're needing to put like stakes to fasten stuff, okay, this is in the ground. EMT is metal that is treated. It's not really going to rot, and even if it does after the ground's all in, it's not going to really matter, and it's not going to hurt the PVC pipe. So it's very cheap. It's much cheaper than other stakes, and it's not wood that encourages bugs. So just use stakes basically to suspend that pipe up, and then I still stapled with those long staples every so often to hold it in. So the staples that I used is actually, like I said, they're right here. It's just landscaping staple. I guess they're about 3.5, and it might be 4 inches, but it just it works. It's not required, but it just helped me be able to get the pipe where I wanted it. So and then the other thing that we've got is we have all of our plumbing drains in. So we got to get this inspected so we can cover this up to dig the rest of the footers. But we have in here, you won't be able to see it, but down in here we have, this is a pneumatic ball basically that we slide inside the pipe and then blow it up to, it'll generally say on it, this one says 35 psi. Blow it up to 35 psi, and that plugs this pipe so water can't rush through, so that then we could put our water test on here. So we've got coming across here, this is going to be a floor drain, so that's why what there is you can't see it that well, but this is a 3-inch P-trap right here. So that just goes down and back up, just like a P-trap under your sink, but it's 3 inches. And then comes into a Y. Then up ahead of there, it Ys off with a 2-inch pipe, and that comes up the wall. This is going to be, there's going to be a double sink and then a smaller sink beside it. This will drain both of those sinks, and then a vent pipe will go up from there to vent it. Then coming up through here, we got another Y and coming off, and this is another floor drain. This floor drain is actually for the condensate drainage and the if for any melted. No, actually no. This one is for a dishwasher. They're showing a dishwasher over here, so the dishwasher hose will drain into the floor drain. And again, there's a P-trap for that purpose. The P-trap, what that does is that holds just a little bit of water, which helps keep your sewage smells from coming up. It traps the sewage smells on the other side of the P-trap. And then a vent pipe helps as well. This one is within the distance of that vent there, so that vent should also work for this. Also, there's another vent pipe that'll be coming down there, and there's that one. So there's technically 3 different vents that are all close enough to this vent pipe, to this drain, to service it. So, it's well more than covered for a vent. This string right here, basically, there's a corner there. Actually, past that point, that's all open for a kitchen, but this is like a little kitchen nook. And then right here is one of the bathrooms, one of the 2 bathrooms. And so we come up. Well, yes, I did. Right here we Y off and we go that way. And this is another floor drain. This one is actually for the water heater condensate, and it is and runoff, and it is also for an ice maker drain. This was the ice maker here. And then we got a vent pipe coming up here. This is to service this, and it should also service over here what is called a floor sink, which is basically an extremely large floor drain. It is the one that is going here is about 24 inches by 24 inches by, I think, like 16 or 18 inches deep. So it just holds a lot of water for if you're rinsing off equipment and washing it into it. But then you continue up through here in the bathroom here. We go off, and here's where the toilet will be, in the corner there. And then this pipe here will work as both a vent, and it will work as a drain for the sink that'll go over here. And just before there, we Y off, and then I used a 22 and another 22 to get over to this area here, which this is going to be a drain in the floor for a mop sink in a commercial situation where the mop sink actually sits directly on the floor. So you only have to pick up your mop bucket, your commercial mop bucket, like 10 inches or so to get it in and out of it. But so that's a drain for the mop sink, and then this is a vent pipe as well. This one is the one that we left a full 10 feet, and it is filled with water all the way up to the top. And that is what is applying pressure to all of these other pipes. And given there's enough water pressure in here, that's why I say this is bubbled up due to that. Then continue on through here. This is the second bathroom of the two, and it Ys off again, goes over to the toilet in that corner there, and then this is a 3-inch pipe going up the wall, and this one will serve multiple purposes. There'll be a clean out at the bottom in the wall where if anything plugs up this main sewer line going down through there, they'll be able to run a snake all the way down through. So it'll have a clean out in the wall. Then it will have another T that will branch off with a 2-inch for the sink that's going to go here. And then it will go up, and this will be the main vent that all the other vents will tie into and then go out through the roof. So we've dug, like I said, so we had to dig all this up, and then I have started digging out the footers. So these footers here, they're supposed to be 8 inches at the bottom. We're actually going 12 because that's what the machine, the bucket on the small Kubota tractor, which is real small, right there. Like I say, it could not dig the 2-foot, but it is able to do this because this is actually, like I say, it's 8 inches at the bottom and it's only 12 inches deep. So it's not going real deep. It can handle that. But anyway, so we've dug out around here. I can dig most of it with the machine, and then we have to knock out like another 2 inches from behind with a shovel, but it's a lot easier once the main hole's there. And then we also have to, let's see, you can see around each of these piers here that were put in for these posts, we're digging behind it so that the concrete will completely go around and over. It'll completely encase this and make it part of the unit. So, and of course I'll show another video, I'm sure, with the footers completely finished and ready. But for the most part, I have only done these two sides because I had to stop over there until we get that plumbing done. And then that direction there, we were waiting on the electrical panel, and everything that was in here coming from their house was mounted there. And Tyler is right now in the process of moving all of that. We had to find it and dig it up. We dug it up all the way back through and then moved it. And for now, because it's a temporary, it'll be eliminated. So we've got it protected inside this 1.25-inch conduit coming out the ground, going over and up to this panel here, where Tyler is in process of hooking all the electrical back up so that we'll have 4 outlets over here, and we'll be able to inside, we'll hook up the well and the sprinkler system or irrigation system so that they can have their vineyard still being used. But I think that's it for this video as far as update, at least. It's kind of long anyways, just as far as progress, and then we'll just see how much farther we get with the different projects, and exactly how we'd go about doing the videos. I'm not sure. They might be, a lot of them are more like this setup, with a couple where we're actually being able to do something that you can see. It's just the time that it takes to do the videoing is more time consuming than a lot of people may think. So it does makes projects take a lot longer than it necessarily would if you just do it. And sometimes that's what you got to do for the customers. So hope you enjoyed watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you the next time.